I'm all over the place. How sweet it is to be loved by you nerds. What is up? It's me, buddy pal HeyArcher. Welcome back to lint on my shirt, cat hairs on my shirt, aka HeyArcher Live here on Nerd Affiliated. Also mad bright. We're gonna turn that down a little bit. I've been tardy and I've missed shows. It's fine though. This is your weekly Thursday night nerdy talk show where we sit back and relax. I said we sit back and relax. And as we roll into the weekend, hopefully by now, you've poured yourself a a little bit of
more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Spindrift Faction. As we prepare for the weekend, it has been quite a week. It has been a busy week. It has been a fun week. So one more time for those in the back, cheers to all of you.
More specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
I can't believe it's already Thursday. Cannot believe it's already Thursday. But we have a fun show in store because we are going to wing it as we normally would do. So if you have a YouTube channel, podcast, blog, vlog, OnlyFans, newsletter, spoke signals, whatever it may be, put it in the chat. What did I usually say? Put it in the chat, support one another, plug yo shit. See, I am just like out of it. I am out of it. I'll tell you guys about some fun stuff I did this week. And of course, we'll talk some nerd shop on various things that we're watching or maybe not watching. Who knows? But, you know, as they say, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, it is me. Soy el problema. It is me. Good to see you guys today. It has been a week. Like I said, cannot believe it's already Thursday. I thought it was in my mind like still Tuesday or Wednesday. And I did not get a chance to do any lives this week. So I was really mad about that. But like I said, I'll talk to you guys about it. I'll run you through things. I saw a little news thing pop up that I was like trying to read as I was doing the intro. And I was like, I think we need to talk about that. But before we do any of that, of course, make sure you hit up Nerd Affiliated on Instagram. You can find the latest and greatest news, memes, etc., from us. You can also find a link at the top of the screen for nerdaffiliated.com, your one-stop shop for all things nerd affiliated, specifically things like some sweet merch. So you can get your Murdoch and Castle Outlaws for Hire shirt, as well as some others over on the website. Fun times for all. But let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Of course, Creativity from the Future in the house. Good to see you. Ultra said, from Macari, I received my basic 128 Edge to use the head for a custom. So on this day, I see clearly they were playing the song. Got it. That's awesome. Glad you got that. Wasn't that the one you were waiting for to arrive and you had some issues? Glad you got that. Tony in the house. Good to see you. Cool. Finally, I'm not too tired to miss this. Louis in the house. One of the real nerd busters. So happy to have you here on the stream. And then Ultra, you're saying that there's some new Jurassic World Rebirth toys that came out. Cool. Because I can't wait to get them to use for my Halo Jurassic World crossover. There you go. I'm glad some new toys are coming out and already showing up in stores. That is pretty awesome. I am behind on some toy stuff, so I think what I'll do is I'll tell you guys about the week, tell you about what I had going on, and we can kind of, I guess, go from there. we'll go from there. So the first thing I did, and I'm pretty excited about this, so I will toast just one more time. I officially have crossed the barrier of a maybe almost professional photographer, because I went to a business to shoot photography.
More specifically, vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
I won't say the business yet, but it was a lot of fun, and I wasn't as nervous as I thought going into it. So many of you probably already know, a lot of you guys follow me on Instagram, but just in case. So I am in the marketing world for my full-time job. And one of the things I never really did was go shoot content or shoot photography for an actual paying person. Usually it's just my own fun. So we got a client, and up here where I live, they needed some photos, and we needed photos. We need videos to start putting out some content. And I went ahead and started to do that. And it was a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. I will say this to all of you. A lot of you guys are creatives here, that just go with it. Like, if you ever get the opportunity to do something like as a paid gig, professionally, edit something, if that's what you already do and you like doing it, just go for it. Just go for it. See what happens. And you're probably more ready than you think you are. So that was a lot of fun. I got to shoot in 2 different locations, one for food, one for gaming. And like I said, it was a great time. So that was actually Tuesday. So by the time I was done with that and I got home, there was no way I was going to do a live, because it was at that point almost 7-ish. And I wanted to get a head start on editing stuff, and I was tired, and I was like, I can't stream right now. So mentally, I was saying I would try to stream on Wednesday, but I knew I had another event. So I didn't want to like publicly say, I'm going to stream tomorrow, Wednesday, if I didn't think I could, if there was a chance I wasn't going to be able to do it. So that's what happened. Didn't do it. Because on Wednesday, I had another event, but this one was not a pay gig. This one was to rep the hood, rep our hood, rep the creative hood. And I got to go down to an event at City Hall up here in Massachusetts, and they did something called the Creative Sector Day. And I went down, got to see some speakers, got to take some cool photos of other creators and collectives down there, or people in the creative collective. The governor was there. Got to take some photos of her, record some content, and just meet a lot of cool artists and, like I said, other creators. So I posted that over on Book of Archer on Instagram. It was just, this moment here was really cool, because I know that, people feel some kind of way about all people in government at this point. So our governor, no different. Some people hate her, some people love her, but I think it was just cool for me to see like a governor like at an event like this, an event that was dedicated to saving the arts, promoting the arts, and that the state wants to continue that. And they also have programs where if you're a creator, whether that's music, art, movies, podcasting, etc., they have a program where you can actually get a grant to help you with whatever it is you're doing. You have to apply for it. You submit your work, you submit I think I did a video, maybe. It's been a while since I applied for it, but you submit your content, and then they choose people. They have like a board or whatever that chooses people, and it's a lot of people they choose. So you can get money as a grant to help you with your craft. So it was cool to see her there and see that it's something that they openly promote us doing. For many of us, side job, main job, or just hobby, but it's just doing, what you love. So I got a chance to do that. But on top of that, what I loved about this photo and other photos I'm going to be working on, I was kind of walking around because it was like a jammed event. Let me see if they actually, if there's any photos here of maybe the whole event. Like, yeah, they had somebody there doing aerial stuff. You had different speakers. Yeah, they don't have a picture. I'm trying to find you a picture that shows like how massive it was. So there was this giant like auditorium, and all the people were there. Oh, here you go. So this whole room was a massive room, and it's just filled with people. Again, artists, photographers, the whole nine. So you had all these people there, and it was like just like really hot in there, and your boy sweats a lot. Am I in this picture? No, I was back there taking photos. Your boy sweats a lot, so I was like, I'm gonna go walk around because there's just, you could see here, tons of people. It was hot in the room, whatever. And I found a corner. This lady did some performance art. It was actually pretty cool. I found a corner where I could like on this side, like look in unobstructed, get some photos from the sides, but I just couldn't really hear well. But I was like, at least I can like chill over here. It's not too hot, whatever. And then as the event was kind of winding down, or that section, a bunch of press people came over, like, you know, TV people with the big cameras. So I was like, oh, I'll just hang out with those guys and see maybe the governor comes over. And the governor did come over. So she was getting questions asked to the press. I was getting photos and all that. And nobody bothered to say, hey, are you press? They just kind of assumed I was one of them. Got to hang out there and take photos, and it felt pretty cool. So great event by the Massachusetts Creative, what is it? Just call it Mass Create. They're like Creative Society. Great event by them. And like I said, it's just fun to live in a place where they're supportive of people doing art, music, movies, paint, performance, the whole thing. So there was my busy week, and that's why I did not stream for 2 days. But good times. Man Collects in the house. Good to see you. For that very reason, actually, I am behind on your videos because I was not here to eat lunch at my desk. So I'm behind. Let me know if I missed anything, but I'll try to watch them tomorrow in time for your newest release to drop. Are you guys collecting anything new? Like, you know, I'm sure I'll see in your video, but have any new toys popped up in stores that everybody's like really going for? Because I just feel like those 2 days of being busy, I feel like I'm like out of the loop. I just feel like I'm behind the 8 ball on everything. Dada Films in the house. Good to see you. But I guess before I go into like some toy stuff, like I said, there was something popped up on the screen, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let's read it. So I saved it on the side. And here we go. So let me move this over. So this is from Variety, and they don't seem to be referencing anybody else. So this says Jeremy Renner turned down Hawkeye season 2 because he was offered half his salary from season 1. Did you think I'm only half Jeremy because I got ran over? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I actually want to see where that source is from, because Variety has given me reasons lately to doubt stuff. Scrolling down, hit the X. He said it was that was the accident in 2023. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over? Maybe that's why you want to pay me half of what I made the first season. And then he talk about the accident that he had there. Oh, did he say this on a podcast?
I'm like, wow, it's going to take me twice the amount of work for half the amount of money. And so 8 months of my time, essentially, and to do it for half the amount. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why? Did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over? Maybe is that what? That's why you want to pay me half of what I made on the first season? And this is not Marvel, mind you. This is like just Disney, not even really Disney. It's just the penny pinchers, the accountants. I told them to go fly a kite. I mean, just at the insult offer. And we didn't see eye to eye on that. And sadly, and I still love the character, I still love to do it, but I had to defend myself. I didn't ask for any more money, mind you, right? It just paid me what I made the first season. So it's a little disheartening that that didn't happen, but that's fine. I'm happy to let that go because my body's probably thanking me, time and time again that I'm not doing it right now. But we'll see.
Interesting. I it sucks because on the one hand we're not. One would assume. Shouts Dave's Dimension in the house. Good to see you. And I'll read your comment. It sucks because if that's where he kind of left off with Disney and Marvel, does that mean we're not getting Hawkeye in Doomsday or any other Marvel movies at the moment? Things are weird with the streaming stuff right now. And, I was talking to somebody about Andor, how much I hate Andor. But Andor is an expensive show. It is really an expensive show. So if you're Disney and you're allocating the funds based on what's performing well, how many people are subscribed at the moment to Disney Plus and how many of those eyes are going to what show, if you're allocating that money, then at a certain point you might be like, all right, well, we really want to do season 2 on this. It had decent numbers, but we can't afford to give it the budget it had the first time. So let's cut the numbers down. And don't forget too, like back when Hawkeye came out, Disney was really pushing hard on the streaming stuff. This was post-COVID. So I'm sure they had a higher budget for Hawkeye, for WandaVision, Captain America, all of those. They pushed them all out like back to back to back. So now that they're in correcting phase, maybe they just have a lower budget. They're like, we can't pay you to do it. There could be a scenario as well where Haley costs more money now, and they know that they're trying to do this Young Avenger push. So they're like, all right, well, we can't do Hawkeye without Hawk Girl, whatever they're going to call her. I don't remember what her name is. You can't do both. So can you do it for half? He was like, no. So this is all my speculation. I'm guessing as to reasons why they wouldn't have done it. I just realized the light behind me is not on. But I think overall, Disney came out the gate hot, real hot with the streaming stuff. And in their correction, have told people we'll pay you less for stuff. And the people are like, no, I'm not doing it, which I completely understand. Completely understand. Plug in my phone, actually. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. His face also looked kind of puffy. I'm wondering when that interview's from. If that was around the time of the accident or not. Taking a break from statues. Oh, yep. Yeah, the J. Joe classified Iron Grenader Troopers, the Grenader Bats from Walmart. Nice. And the Ken Shamrock. Nice. Dave said, I don't blame him. Half the money. Unless he's only half the season, they need to come back with a better damn offer. Yeah. It's toothpaste in a tube. You can't tell somebody you get X amount of dollars now. Oh, because of budget cuts and whatever, we're going to only give you half the money. Like, that is kind of crazy. But that's why I'm saying there might be other sides of the story we're not aware of. So cut the budget down. Maybe in the script they had other people coming in and they want to pay them too. But you still can't tell somebody I'm going to pay you less and you're the title character. Unless you're like, if this was a movie scenario, it's like, hey, we have to pay you less up front. We don't have the budget. Maybe we give you a higher percentage on residuals. Will that work for you? Yes. Cool. Boom. But given that it's a TV show, they don't do residuals like that as far as I understand. So I can see where the issue is. Ultra says I don't blame him either. Still collecting multiverse. Going hard on the multiverse, man. Patrick in the house. Oh, excuse me. Good to see you. Just had one of them get home from work naps. I love that. Love that. Everybody saying hi to each other. So yeah, I just think there's more to the story, and we're just not privy to it at the moment. But either way you look at it, half is crazy. Like agreeing to half is crazy. You can't. There's no way you can offer that and not expect the person to say no. It doesn't really matter the scenario. It does not. So moving on, I made this reel this week, and actually on Instagram, it's not Instagram, on TikTok, it's doing very well. I think I crossed like 80,000 views on it so far. Somebody calling me out on stuff. So what's going on here is there's a movie coming out called The Smashing Machine. And The Smashing Machine is about former UFC fighter, Pride fighter, Mark Kerr. So we finally got a trailer this week of The Rock playing the character. And A24 is pretty solid on their movie releases. I feel like there haven't been too many movies that come out that people are like, wow, that really sucked from A24. Like, they're all pretty decent movies. So he's playing this fighter, Mark Kerr. Now, the reason I made the reel about this, I didn't want to get a copyright on that, so I'll just go over here. The reason I made a reel about this movie is I was concerned about, and this sounds stupid, but I was concerned about the accuracy of this movie, and is Mark Kerr getting his for this movie? So The Rock is playing this guy, in case you don't know. So Mark Kerr, absolute legend in the MMA game, back in, like I said, UFC, Pride, etc. Now, Mark Kerr was early UFC. I just want to specify that part. And things have not changed that much as it's gone on, outside of the UFC is more popular now than it was then. But the fighters would get X amount of dollars to show up, X amount of dollars to win, have a nice day. But yet the UFC kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time went on. So Mark Kerr was UFC, ended up going to Pride, ended up retiring, had a lot of health issues over the years, a lot of health issues. Ended up going and becoming a car salesman. So Mark Kerr, for a long time, for a lot of us fans that have been UFC fans, back in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, a lot of us knew there's a lot of people like this, like Mark Kerr, who were champions, who did the damn thing, and then when they retired, were left with nothing. And we thought that that was messed up. And for a lot of us, we still think it's messed up. But for a lot of us, we also just stopped watching UFC. And not because we don't like the fighters anymore, or we don't like the sport anymore, I should say, but it's the organization. It's Dana White. He's somebody, I used to be a Dana stan. I used to freaking love Dana White. And it's because I believed him. And as a UFC fan back then, we all felt like underdogs in a way. It was a sport that was still outlawed in various states. I remember they kept pushing for New York City, kept pushing. It was, people still viewed as too barbaric. They were like, these guys are degenerates. The fans are degenerates. It was a whole thing. And as time went on, fighters were coming out saying hey, how we're being treated is not right. We're going out there, we're putting it all on the line. No insurance, no nothing. No residual payments, whatever. So a lot of us were like, well, because Dana was kind of F those guys. If you're not smart with money, that's on you. And a lot of us kind of believed him on that. But really, as time went on, you're like, well, yeah, maybe they're not smart with the money, but you also gave that dude $20,000 on an event you probably made $20 million in profits on. That's kind of messed up. And Mark Kerr was one of the guys that, as he paved the way and you saw him with nothing, for a lot of us, our eyes were open to, wow, we're supporting this sport where these people go out there literally with their lives on the line. And once they're done, they're done. They just get pushed to the curb. Have a nice day. And it got worse when the UFC got bought out and became a publicly traded company. So I come full circle here because as a story, the Mark Kerr story is one that the UFC does not look good in. It doesn't play well for them as he's going through life, putting it on the line for a little bit of money to retire with nothing. It just doesn't look good. So it was interesting when The Rock got cast for this, because The Rock, I got this wrong in my video because I was kind of rushing it out, but The Rock is on the board of TKO. And TKO is the umbrella company that owns the UFC and the WWE. They're also part of this company, Endeavor. Endeavor was the company. Endeavor, I guess it still exists. Endeavor was the umbrella company. And then they said, we want to put UFC and WWE kind of in their own thing. So they made a separate stock or a separate like company under that called TKO. And The Rock's on the board of TKO. So I was saying to myself when it was announced, is it possible that The Rock can do a movie playing a character and make the UFC look bad in this movie? Make Dana White look bad in this movie? Is that possible? I think not. And then the trailer comes out, and in the trailer, it looks like it's all Pride related stuff when he went to Japan. Again, that's how it seems. I didn't see any cage in the trailer. I could be wrong, but I didn't see any. So seeing that it was all about Pride in the trailer, it kind of reinforced my feelings that this might be a revisionist history type of story, where really Dana is part of fighters retiring with nothing, but that might not be mentioned in the movie. It may not be covered in the movie. I've not seen the movie, so who knows? I could be wrong. But I just find it hard to believe that somebody who's financially invested in the company to the extent that they're on the board of directors, would make a movie that makes one of his product not look good. I don't think they're able to look at themselves in a mirror like that. Just me and based on the circles they run in. That's how I feel. Now, what somebody pointed out on Instagram is Mark Kerr is promoting the movie. You can see it here. Sorry, they mentioned it on TikTok. He is promoting the movie. So it's here, on his feed. The Rock's in the comment section there. You see Mark Kerr there. Don Fry, Josh Barnett. This is killing me. I'm going to get roasted for this one. I'm forgetting his name. These two here are not catching me. God, that's Abbott. Tank Abbott. There you go. Tank Abbott there. And oh man, I feel like such a loser. The Beast, Dan Severn. There you go. Dan Severn. So, Butterbean? That's Butterbean? Wow, that's crazy. And who's he? I'm not catching that. Anyway, he's promoting it on his page. So, could it be that bad? I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. Here he is with The Rock. Maybe there is some UFC scenes. Who knows? But my main thing is I just hope that he gets a paycheck off this. That's a substantial paycheck. Like Mark Kerr, for them using his story, should be getting the residuals on it. Should be, making some money on this. And if you look, this one, as I'm scrolling, that's the only UFC related posts on here. I guess that one too, but like there's nothing that's overly UFC here. So I don't know. We'll see. I like I said, I just hope that when it does come out, as things are talked about, he gets what's owed to him. It's his story to tell. His story to tell. You got a bunch of other legends here. A couple of crazies there. Mr. Jake Shields. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when the movie actually comes out. Let me see here. From the trailer, The Rock is doing legit work in the film. From body to voice, it might be serious contention for an award. Mind you, that's based on the trailer. It shows dimension for The Rock. I know it's possibly a hot take. Butterbean, thank you. Yeah. For sure. I mean, we haven't seen The Rock put on a legit acting performance in a long, long time. Usually he just plays The Rock. And A24, like I said, they tend to put out some pretty good stuff. But it's the relationship that has me on the fence about stuff. I can't think of a scenario where somebody would be an active employee trash talking their own company. Don't even consider like somebody who's almost like an owner trashing their own company. Like I don't see it. And again, that's with their company. Like if the UFC was on a redemption tour of, you know what, we're not going to union bust them trying to unionize. We're going to start paying them a larger amount of money instead of show and win money. Like if the UFC was like turning around to being like pro fighter, I would say, all right, maybe there's a chance that they talk about how effed up it used to be. But that's not what they're doing. It isn't what they're doing. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to rush out to go see the movie unless it turns out like people are like, oh man, this is like insane. Like it's insane, but we'll find out. We'll find out. In Ghostbusters news, Spirit Halloween officially released their Ghost Trap. It's made by this two filmmakers, the Safdie brothers. They make great movies. Yeah, I don't, because it's A24, I don't doubt that it's going to be a quality movie to watch. What I'm doubting is how accurate it's going to be and what will be covered in the movie. That's where I'm like questioning things. Because the I'll go back to full screen on this one. The UFC has more than enough money to be like, when you retire, you're going to get X amount of dollars, or you're going to be on a program where you get X amount for streams, or every time that we show your fights again. There's ways they can do it. But so many of these fighters have talked about how there's just nothing for them when they're done. And some of them take advantage of their fame. Like, Rampage Jackson's doing well with his podcast. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson does well with his podcast and his streaming. Like, there are a lot of people who, there's not even a lot. There's a decent amount that take advantage of the situation. There's others that don't. Others that can't. And over the years, you see some of them become punchy, get CTE, go a little crazy, die. Like, you see all these things happen, and a lot of that has happened because of what happens in the ring, and there's nothing to take care of them after the fact. And there's more than enough money in the UFC to do so. More than enough. Actually, one thing I want to kind of highlight here. Somebody like Miesha Tate, she's coming back to fight. She's fighting, I think, this weekend, May 3rd. If you don't know, Miesha Tate was one of the pioneers in women's mixed martial arts. Miesha Tate, one can argue, helped put Ronda Rousey on the map. I was turned on to Ronda Rousey being a good fighter when they promoted the Strikeforce fight between Miesha Tate, then champion, and Ronda Rousey, up and coming contender. Like the promo they cut on that was great. And I was like, oh, like there's a women's fight, like headlining a Strikeforce event. Like that's crazy. I'm going to watch it. So this was a long ass time ago. But Miesha Tate's been around for a while. She's probably my age. And she left, I don't think she technically retired, but she left and was helping to run, was it 1FC, I believe, over in Asia. She leaves and she can't compete in other things because she still was under contract with UFC. Things happen with 1FC. She leaves, comes back, and now she's getting back in the cage over at UFC. Like, yes, at times you have a fighting spirit where you're like, I need to go one more time. I need to get right back in there. I get it. But at the same time, once you've checked out, again, you get that corporate job. She got 2 kids. You're not coming back unless it's for a paycheck. You're not coming back unless it's for a paycheck. And if things were set up in the UFC for them to have money when they were done, she probably wouldn't be fighting this weekend. How old is Miesha Tate? Let's look it up. Oh, she's 2 years younger than me, 38. That's crazy. She's only 38. Wow. Oh, she's 1 year younger than me. She's born in 86. That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, 2025. She fought in 2023. She won that. This one got canceled. 2022, she lost. 2021, she lost. Oh, she won one. And then 2016 was when she lost to Raquel Pennington, lost to Amanda Nunes, lost to Holly Holm. Yeah, and she was done. So she's coming back for the money. And I don't knock her for it. Like, that's just how the cards fall. But they shouldn't have to do that. Like, at 38 with 2 kids, you shouldn't be having to go back in there after you've headlined so many events. Not her fault. I'm blaming UFC for that. The bar got in my way here. Let me see here. So Tony says, I don't know. In my opinion, they get paid very well and should have a savings investing with sponsorships and everything. Fair, right? That is fair in theory. But and that was one of the arguments I used to have back in the day. I used to get into arguments with UFC fighters on Twitter back in the early 2000s because people were like, oh, we don't get paid enough. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you literally got paid $50,000 to go fight yesterday and you're complaining about money. Like, I don't get that in a year. But then you start breaking it down. Now, let's say that you're an up and coming fighter. Dana White's out here paying you like 10 grand to show up, 10 grand if you win. Automatically, you're getting taxed to hell, depending on where you are, which is why so many fighters like going to Vegas, and I think Jersey as well doesn't charge you the income tax on that. But unless you're in a state where you don't have the income tax, you're getting taxed on your winnings for that. So let's say you get 10 grand. You're getting taxed on that. Capital gains tax, I assume. So you're maybe getting six grand out of that. But you also have your trainer. You have your nutritionist. You have your manager. Everybody starts eating little bits of that money. Now let's go to a higher tier. Now let's say that you are Miesha Tate. You're getting 25 grand to show up, 40 grand to show up. You're getting the bigger paychecks. And again, that's just to show up. And usually the way the contract is, you get X amount of dollars to show up. And then if you win, you get that amount again. So let's just say hypothetically you made 50 grand to go fight this weekend. You still got your manager, you still got your nutritionist, you got your coaches. There's multiple coaches. You have sometimes you have your wrestling coach, your boxing coach, your kickboxing coach. Everybody's trying to eat off of you. Everybody. Nowadays, you need to do social media. Who's running your social media? Either you're paying for somebody or you're paying your manager extra because they're going to pay their own staff to do your social media, right? So everybody's eating. And then Uncle Sam comes and takes his money. That 50 grand turns into 10, 15, that kind of stuff. Now, imagine you are trying your best to fight at least 3-4 times a year. Best case scenario. You get injured. Your opponent gets injured. The card gets canceled. You don't get your money when that stuff happens. The only time I think they get their money if the fight gets canceled is if it's the same day. They're already there. They cut their weight and they'll get that. But even then, some fighters have talked about getting screwed over on that. Dana's like, oh, we're not going to pay you, even though you're here right now. We're not going to pay you because we've already rescheduled it for this other day. Thanks for showing up. So all these little things happen behind the scenes and they don't get talked about unless you're like really paying attention to stuff and watching that kind of content. And then Tony, you brought up the TKO bonus. Dana White has mentioned that. But here's the thing. Now you're out there trying your best to get the win bonus, and you're trying to go out there and get a knockout of the night bonus, fight of the night bonus. I don't think they do submission of the night anymore, but you're trying to get one of those bonuses. If you don't get them, now you're screwed. And then the sponsorships. I'm glad you brought that up. So back in the day, in like the I keep saying the same things, I'm sorry. But back in the day, you had the fighters come out and they had sponsorships all over their gear, right? You had like the infamous Condom Depot sponsorship tag, Venom, Tap Out, everybody had all those sponsorships, right? A lot of fighters pointed out that in majority situation, you made more money in sponsorships than you did to fight. So if you walked out there, you made 10, 15 grand based on what you had like on your shorts, going into fight week, you're wearing the shirts, you can make double in sponsorships versus the fight. So that was a big thing at one time, getting all the crazy money on the Spike TV days. Yes, that was a thing. But then if you remember, we had the Reebok deal come out. That's about the time I was starting to check out. When the Reebok deal came out, they wanted the UFC to be looked at more as a professional sport. And Dana said, and whoever was running at the time, I forget if Fertitas was still there, but Dana said at that time, they're going to wear uniforms and they're going to have the country flags on their uniforms. It's going to be more legit. But in doing so, they were no longer allowed to have sponsorships on their gear. Couldn't have them on shorts, couldn't have them anywhere. Then they started doing little revisions here and there. Maybe you can get one, maybe you can get two. But then they said, if there is a sponsorship on your persons, we're going to get a higher percentage than we used to, because we're also now promoting them on our show. So a lot of sponsorships people ended up backing out. A lot of companies backed out because they're like, it's not even worth it at this point. I'm paying the UFC and I'm paying you. I'm not going to get that return if I have 5 fighters on my thing. So that was number one. Number two, the UFC still goes ahead and does sponsorships in the ring. So you get into the cage and there's stickers all over the place promoting various brands, Budweiser and all sorts of stuff. And yet the fighters can't do it. And now they're losing out on money. So the UFC has found ways over the years to continue to pay them less and stop them from unionizing. Now, devil's advocate here, the fighters are also their own worst enemy. They won't unionize, and they should, but they won't do it. And now that you have who you have in office, he's good friends with Dana White. Best believe it's going to be harder and harder for fighters to get rights, to do whatever they need to do. But again, this isn't my saying. This comes from people like Ariel Helwani. This comes from people like Luke Thomas and Eugene S. Robinson. The fighters don't care enough to unionize. The fighters don't care enough about each other. Everybody's thinking about themselves. That's in their nature. They're a fighter. All of the mid-card and opening card people can fight to unionize and strike, and it wouldn't make a difference. You need the stars to strike. You need John Jones, Conor McGregor, I'm kind of dating myself here, GSP, Cain Velasquez. You need those guys to be like, hey, we're not going to fight tonight because we're trying to unionize and you guys keep stopping us. That's the only way that happens. But every time people get to a certain tier and UFC starts greasing palms, they're like, it's not worth it. Nah, it's fine. I get paid enough. I don't need to be in a union. That's where that comes from. Sorry. So it's rough out there. And that's why I can't watch it anymore. Because I just refuse to pay money to an organization that will take advantage of the workers that way. Because that's what they are. They're just workers. But yet are not owed health insurance and all sorts of other things. And I believe one of the legal cases was they were trying to identify or make the UFC identify whether they are contract employees or employees, because they're also not allowed to compete in other things. So they can't compete in other things. Now you're my only source of revenue. Therefore, you owe me certain things as an employee. And I think they got thrown out, if I remember. Because of the powers that be. And your ability, right? Yeah. No, but that's the thing. Like, if you're hungry to be a fighter, you're getting 10 and 10, 15 and 15. Yeah, unionizing sounds great. But you have that one big moment where you pop off. All of a sudden, Dana hits you up with 50 grand under the table. Hey, go to this event over here, go to this thing over there. People start calling you like, hey, you want to do this for money, do that for money. You don't want to piss off the higher ups at that point. So you're going to be like, I don't care about the union thing. And then you fall off. Then you do care again. And now it doesn't matter because you fell off. So there you go. That's why I don't like the UFC anymore. That is why I don't like the UFC anymore. The Ghost Trap came out, 175. You get everything you see here. Smoke machine as well. Illegal to get it in California, apparently. That's a thing. So I've yet to see reviews on it, even though it's available for order. So I don't know if people just haven't received them yet, or people just aren't ordering them. But 175 for all this is pretty good. I'm hoping to pick one up, but we'll see. Should know to do what Ken Shamrock and Ronda Rousey did. Oh, go to WWE, but they all can't. And a lot of them have tried, believe it or not. A lot of them have tried to do the wrestling thing. It doesn't work out. 100%. I'm going to wait for the trap. Yeah, I'm waiting for sale. You can't get it in Canada yet. That explains probably why Ghostbusters News hasn't reviewed it yet. Maybe there's a reason he hasn't received it. Outside of any obvious reasons, And UFC hasn't got any figures to my knowledge, and I bet that could have been some revenue, but that would be a Dana move. So, this is an all UFC event, man. Episode. There's a fighter out there, and again, fighters sometimes they do things and you're on their side, and then they do more things and then you're kind of like, I'm not on your side anymore. So one of the up and comings that could have been, known as a GOAT was John Fitch. And John Fitch, when he was on the come up, he was known to kind of be a boring fighter. Everything was like submission, lay and pray. Like that's the vibe you got off a John Fitch fight. He ran into the true GOAT. He ran into GSP. And that's what kind of stopped him from being known as like a GOAT. But John Fitch, when he was leaving the UFC, people asked him, like, why weren't you in the games? And he said, because they won't pay me. And that's when, again, the media gets wind of things, but the fans don't care, so it doesn't matter. But to my understanding, this is going way back, but to my understanding, back when the games were coming out, the fighters were signing away their likenesses and getting little to nothing for it. And John was like, I'm not going to give you my likeness to be able to friggin' use me in all the games and get all the money and I don't get anything from it. It doesn't make any sense. But again, because they don't unionize, they can't fight for that and have it as a universal thing. So, when it comes to the toys, same concept. But really, the UFC has done such a poor job at promoting their own fighters. Like, whose toys would sell? They came out with what? We had a couple of years ago, we had the Conor McGregor figure, DC, John Jones, and maybe one other person. And then McFarlane got the license. We got some statues, the Conor McGregor statue, the John Jones statue, and then that was it. Somebody buys them. Nobody cares. And if people do care, they only care about like three fighters. Izzy, John. There's that Brazilian guy I had him on the screen before. I can't remember his name. I'm terrible. I couldn't name you any of the champions right now. I used to be able to fire those off. No problem. I cannot name a champion outside of John Jones being heavyweight champion. And even then, I'm still not sure if they stripped him or not. Makes sense why I didn't know him because of GSP. Yeah. Dude, John Fitch was like, he was on a tear, man. It's like people like Carlos Condit, right? People like Daniel Cormier. Like Daniel's so good at his out of the octagon stuff that he's still very relevant. He does the shows and all that podcast. But there are people who are like, there are fighters that if this other person didn't exist, they would have been the guy. And GSP's one, John Fitch is one of them. Like John Fitch, look, going back to 2002, right? He lost to Mike Pyle, who eventually also was in the UFC and did all right for himself. Then look how many times he fought that year. And here's another thing too. This was different. I've said this before too. Like back in the day, those fighters were fighting for free in like bars. Like they don't fight like that anymore. Those kinds of people aren't there anymore. General Kenobi in the house. Good to see you. But this was a different era. Even Uriah Faber has talked about that. It was a different era. So, as time goes on, he gets into UFC in 2005. Look how many fights he had between 2002 and 2005. Gets in UFC, goes on a tear. But you can see decision, submission, decision. TKO there against Thiago Alves, who was also really good. Split decision with Diego Sanchez back when he was crazy. Still crazy. But he runs into GSP. Back when they had cool names. UFC 87, Seek and Destroy. Such a good moment in time. Runs into GSP, lost. Then he goes on another tear. Goes up. Runs into BJ Penn. That gets put a draw. If it's a draw, was there funny stuff with that one? I can't quite remember. Then he lost to Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks was on a tear at that point, but then he was popping. He beat Eric Silva, who was doing really good. Then he ran into Damian Maia and Josh Berkman. They were both on their own like come ups at that point. Keep going. Now we're out of UFC. So his last fight was Damian Maia, and then he was out. That was 2013. Then he went over to World Series of Fighting, and that's when he became champion eventually. Paul Harris, also on the juice, became champion. And then draw, he lost to Roy McDonald. Roy McDonald was on a tear for a while too. And that was in Bellator. So he had a run, man. John Fitch, he had a run, and then he runs into GSP. Think about that. Look at all these that would have been a streak. Boom, GSP. Let's look at GSP's fights. W, straight up and down. Lost to two legends. Matt Hughes, and then the Matt Serra freaking out of nowhere TKO. So it used to be real good. But it's sad when you think about how many people here got screwed over the years financially by doing this. But they have people like Josh Koscheck, who was always just smart with his money. I remember he used to fly his own planes and stuff to places. So yeah. Someone in the US ordered the trap and got it next day. Oh, okay. Oh. Wow. All right. I kind of think that's all I have for today, to be honest. It was a bit scatterbrained today because we didn't do the episodes yesterday and the day before. Cover your ears, Kenobi. But I told you guys before, I'm done with Andor. I'm not reviewing it. I'm not watching it. It does nothing for me. But Last of Us, I thought was really good this week. I'm excited for this coming episode. Hopefully we get some action this week coming up. Viewership, I heard a rumor that it dropped off a lot from last week to this or from 2 weeks ago to this past week. I don't doubt that's the case because that happened with the game. People kind of gave up on the game when they found out that Joel, right? Joel. When they found out that Joel died. People were like, I'm not going to get the game. So same thing that happened in the game is happening in real life. We'll see. I think the reviews are still good on it. So there's that. We have Thunderbolts this weekend. Thunderbolts is coming out. I might see it. I know a friend wanted to go see it. So I'll hit him up and see if he still wants to go watch that this weekend at some point. If not, I'll see it next week. I'm excited to see Thunderbolts, but I'm not like in a rush to see Thunderbolts. Not really. After seeing Sinners, man, I'm just like, I don't want to see a superhero movie. I want to see cinema if I'm going to the theaters. So the reviews so far of Thunderbolts have been good. We'll see what happens. But I am mad that it's because of Thunderbolts. Sinners is no longer in IMAX. So if you didn't see Sinners in IMAX, sorry. You should still go see it. But hopefully you can see it in IMAX at some point. Hopefully he comes back. And I don't know. I think that's it. Yeah, stay for the after credits. That's right. That is right. Any other things I need to talk about before we wrap? Last of Us episode 2 was like watching a car crash that you know the ending to. Yeah. Skipping Thunderbolts since not interested. And if it was rated R, then I would have watched. That's fair. I'm also watching Thunderbolts at some point. Yeah. I wonder if it dethrones Sinners. That I'm actually not sure. Oh, Thunderbolts has a mid-credit and end-credit scene. Oh, and you mentioned that, yeah. I'm just scrolling through IGN to see if there's some other news I need to talk about, but I think that's it. My nose is stuffy enough, so it's time for me to wrap. And I got to take out the trash. I don't know. I feel like out of whack today because I didn't do the other two streams. Also, last weekend I didn't go live because I went on Dave's stream for his ride for Roswell, and congratulations to Dave Dimension. Dave went 24 hours streaming, no breaks, 24 hours, no sleep, no nothing. So shout out to Dave. Make sure you guys head over and donate to Ride for Roswell if you have not done so already. But because I went on his stream for an hour, I didn't do my own stream last weekend, so that's why I've been gone for a bit. I don't think I'm going to stream tomorrow, but I'll stream this weekend at some point. So if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you guys this weekend. So for now, HeyArcher Live every Thursday, 8:15ish p.m. here on Nerd Affiliated, and every couple days as well. Make sure you guys hit the bell to get notified when I do go live, so we can hang out together. Thunder Piss, Dave Harper's a really good actor. Like, comment, subscribe, talk to all you nerds in the next video. Peace. I'm out of here.
What? Huh? More specifically vodka. More specifically vodka. More specifically vodka. Huh? What? Huh? What? Huh? More specifically vodka. Whiskey. Beer. Tequila. More beer. More vodka. More whiskey. And more beer.
Yeah, come on, push a button. Push a goddamn button.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.